time, O best beloved, I was not the creature you see before you today. No, I was a human, a girl, a clever linguist without a care in the world, caught up in what? You don't believe in fawns? In transfigurations? No magic? Ha! Well, you'll just have to listen then, and we'll see what you believe by the time I'm done. For I shall only tell the truth, my truth at any rate, the way I, a bonny girl on the shores of Lake Michigan, became the dashing, horned boy you see today. In the old days, Chicago was not a city, just a festering swamp on the edge of a lake, bounded by prairie grasses, avoided by everyone. It smelled terrible. Its name, Chicago, is Algonquin, or possibly Sioux, for big stinky onion. And the weather ranged from steel-eyed winds with icy jagged claws to a miasma so dense and so hot that it scalded the lungs of the elderly and their grandbabies alike. People who lived there call the winter weather the hawk, but that's not quite right. A hawk hunts to survive, and it doesn't kill out of whimsy. The Chicago weather, on the other hand, total evil whimsy. No sensible person would live there until the trappers and the Jesuits came exploring, and they decided with the ineffable logic of Western man that the lake and the rivers sprouting therefrom would make awesome trade routes. On the marsh they built a city, and in the city they built skyscrapers and stock exchanges and temples to their vices. Well, you know. A city is a city is a city and smells as sweet by any other name, n'est pas? Well, unless it smells like onions. Burnham came and the Olmsteds, and the city began to take shape, sprawled out along the lakeside. Stockyards and tall buildings, big shoulders and terrible weather. A regular old metropolis, a shiny city on a plain. It couldn't be Winthrop's shining city on a hill on account of there are no hills. Despite the recent unfortunate efforts of the mayor to build some, the wind just scrapes them flat like Hercules in the Augean stables, like the Swiffer of the gods. What? You're hungry? Oh, I see. No, I'll wait. You go find the princess, see if she can work up a snack. No, it's okay, I'll wait. I have to work on my audition clip for Wicked anyway. Ah, you're back. What's that you've got? Tacos? She made you tacos? Such a creature that princess is. At any rate, Chicago. People civilized the city, and then they invented baseball. You might think that one has nothing to do with the other, but trust me, my dainty, they do. Why do you think it took so long to get baseball in Denver? Exactly. Wild, wild west and all that. Not enough civilization out there in the high plains. So, baseball. Chicago, as you know, has two teams, the White Sox and the Cubs. Our heroine, me, before I pulled off the paper bag of metaphor that concealed my horns, loved the Cubs. You may remember that it's been 101 years since the Cubs won the World Series, while their archenemies, all of them, have racked them up in the meantime. No, the Yankees are not archenemies. Well, they are a rival of common decency, but that's different. Anyway, our heroine, again, me, adored those miserable Cubbies, and spent several summers camped out with her girlfriend on the bleachers, watching her team struggle along in last place, or careen to the top of the standings only to plummet into the basement of shame and good intentions, and usually new management, at the end of each season. Sometimes she wore a replica jersey, but more often she wore the soft blue and gray t-shirt she bought her first season at Wrigley, and she watched her team cycle, like the Chicago weather, through different kinds of very, very bad. What? No, I won't tell you her name. It has been erased from the universal ledger. Well, not really. Really, I just don't want to build you that kind of bridge between her and me, between then and now. She knew the legend that spoke of a goat denied entrance to the ballpark, and the curse that had apparently ensued, the curse to which Cubs fans clung to explain the otherwise impossible awfulness of their team's century of performance. And she knew that curses didn't exist, that the story made no sense, but I get ahead of myself. One day, our heroine set off for Wrigley Field, delighted by the prospect of a sunny day of beer and hot dogs and the possibility that the Cubs might win. As far as she knew, it was setting up to be a perfectly ordinary day. Now, you might ask how a girl like that, a girl like the girl I used to be, could possibly believe that. How that particular girl, who lived for dead languages and the classics and worshipped at the nerdgastic altars of Loki and Star Trek, might conceivably not see the ordinariness as an omen all its own. Really, she should have known. Instead, she closed her eyes to the omens and went to the game, unmindful of the wind coming off the lake and the distant buzz of a raven's wings. And no, there are not usually ravens in Chicago, not even in the winter. In the bottom of the ninth, our heroine looked up in time to catch an errant foul ball, or maybe a home run. Who cares anymore? She pressed her palms to it, only half noticing the superhuman calves of the ball's assassin, and felt the warmth of its pummeling seep into her hands. And then she made a wish. I will not tell you what she wished for. It doesn't matter. I can assure you that she absolutely did not wish to be turned into a hirsute boy with nimble cloven hooves, because really, who would? Meanwhile, the Cubs lost, and she walked back along Waveland, the baseball still warm, stuck in the pocket of her cargo shorts, and let herself into the pale stucco bungalow she shared with her girlfriend, who was not, alas, the kind of lesbian who finds herself drawn to fawns. With sunset came a great rolling thunderstorm, hail the size of mice and frogs, and the darkest winds seen in a century. In the room she shared with the love of her life, our heroine found herself dreaming of swamps and lost kingdoms, of heaving clouds filled with scorpions, of a baseball game played with human heads. She did not sleep well. In the morning, she woke to find herself transformed into an enormous insect. Ha, kidding. No giant water bug, no exile beneath the sofa, no pelting with apples. In the morning, she woke to find herself himself, hooved and horned and horny, a fine pelt of tawny fur spiraling of her, or his, torso. Her lover sat at the edge of the bed, too horrified to scream, finally managing a quiet, "Get out!" Our heroine, now me, although on that first day I didn't know what I was, walked out, carrying only a handful of books and the cat, hose tucked into black Chuck Taylors, hairy ungulate legs awkwardly disguised in jeans, the Cub shirt over the rest of it, and by the end of the day, Chicago was but a memory. I should mention, by the way, that the Cubs have done much better since then, and next year might actually be that year that they've been struggling to for a century. So there I was, driving east around the bottom of Lake Michigan, books sliding loose on the seats, the cat deranged with horror and confusion, all of it smelling vaguely like a barnyard. And all I could do was drive and hope my suddenly ex didn't take everything from our joint account before I could. In my defense, she was a corporate lawyer. I was an imaginary animal. I needed the cash more than she did. Somewhere in Indiana, I stopped for gas, and that was when I realized just how dire my straits suddenly were. I saw myself in the bathroom mirror and wondered whether I could find a hat to cover my horns, let alone my ears. And I saw my beard, which I rather liked and have maintained ever since. And I found myself dimly aware that the ladies' rooms of my previous life were a thing of the past. Whatever had happened all over, you see, and I was going to have to adapt. In short, I had been transformed into a fawn. On some days more of a satyr, covered with layers of hair that sweep from woolly to silken depending. You can see my horns unless I grow my hair out. I hardly notice the ears anymore. So where was I? Oh, Indiana, yes. So there I was in Indiana, which is not where you most want to be if you have awakened one morning to find yourself a mythical beast. Trust me, not a lot of unicorns or centaurs in Elkhart and Fort Wayne. Not even a freaking manticore. Seriously, it's not cool. So I did what anyone would have done to my situation. I went to Hollywood. It worked out. You've seen my films, yes? That's why you're here, after all. Why Entertainment Weekly sent you to get the exclusive. Billy Bush gives me a headache, which is why you, my delicate flower of a reporter, get the interview instead. Everyone knows that I got my start in the adult industry. Without Gemma Jameson, I would have been lost. A homeless goat boy in the city of angels. And the gods know I benefited from her decision to make The Lion, the Bitch, and the Wardrobe. That follows to her pirate movie. In the first one, when Lucy steps out into Pornia and meets the gentle but wildly oversexed Mr. Tumnescent, I will always be proud of the work I did for that brilliant woman. Eventually, I bought a tiny house on the beach in Santa Monica. I thought about one of those sprawling places up in the canyons, but honestly, the fires and the mudslides, they freak me out. Plus, those hills belong to Coyote, and I don't want to mess with the trickster thing. Too many tricks, obviously. So I moved to the beach, and then I got my big break in Die Hard 7, More Monkeys, playing a ninja from alternate universe, and you should have been there for the training. And now Guillermo del Toro wants me, for the lead in his sequel to Pan's Labyrinth. I shouldn't tell you this, but it's set in New York in the present day, and there's this awesome Hellboy crossover. I can't wait. Anyway, I like it out here. I like the pelicans and the seabirds in my little boat, and I especially love the sunshine and the dolphins and the starlets. Yeah, I love them particularly. And as long as I'm still making movies, I'll keep making time, you know what I mean? Do you have questions?